there's a point in my life where you know if you've crossed the threshold of survival in almost any situation you get involved with. And I think it should be pointed out that if you didn't get it before in other videos, if you weren't paying attention, the communication with Benico, this entity out in the forest that I've met up with again in my life, I've talked about for years on YouTube, wrote books about, and met up with again this year. Before it was very psychic, and now here it is, face to face. It should be pointed out, this communication, I said before, it was just basically psychic than anything. This communication is two ways now. One, it's auditory. I can see her, I can communicate with her out there. Two, I can back that up with digital recordings. That means I've gone out there and recorded her talking to me and saying things to me. Because she moves through a higher plane of existence, a plane of reality just above our own. I don't like to use the term dimension. That can be a bit misleading. Because she's in this other reality, which is just above the earth, just above this reality, she's unseen to most. And she's come out of the forest, and she's come to where I'm at now, and follows me about, where before she was around me, but at more of a distance in a psychic sense, but she was there. And so it should be pointed out that the communication is validated with auditory recordings of her talking to me. It's not all, just what I hear in my head. I know that why would some people, I would ask the question, why would some of you think that? Why would some of you think that it's completely, ignore the fact I said it's on digital? Now, the kick in the head is that she says, I'll communicate, I'll talk, but not, it's some of it is to be shared, but not all of it's to be shared. It's not that I have to make a public video and publicly share the evidence. A lot of that's my own doing. I want to do that. Here it is. But I think as time moves on, and she said to me, I want you to come with me. I want you to go with me. The idea of where we would go, what I would go, what I would go into. She doesn't have to explain it to me, because I'm going to see it anyways. And then in that case, we end up together. There seems to be, somewhere in my life, there seems to be a contention where a point by which life itself starts to say, this is getting a bit rough. This is getting a bit, the water is getting a bit, the tide is getting a bit shaky. And so you say, well, how, in what way did she want me to go with her? How would I go with her? And the only answer to that would be a physical ending of existence in this reality, and it would be a transformation into another reality. It's all about vibration, and the rate at which the atoms in your body, your molecular structure in your body, vibrate at a frequency. Move at a higher frequency, and you phase out of this known reality, space-time continuum. You're no longer seen in the present sense. There are two ways to get there. And one way is physical death, and the other way is this transformational phase into another reality. And it should be pointed out that that transformation does not have to happen in some kind of Zen master ascension or meditation practice. I think on your own, yeah. Two ways of ascending. You do it on your own through an institute or some help. The second way is someone like Benigo who pulls you in. And you just go. If the circumstances in life get too much, you get it from all directions. You start getting... Life itself can have its own, wars and battles. Believe me, it's no conspiracy to say this. You know it. Watch your TV news. All you've got to turn on the news and watch what goes on in politics in America, the Syrian conflict, the European Union and the whole Brexit thing with England, and the battles going on about migration and housing crisis in England, and the ups and downs, and the people going about Christians versus Muslims. And I mean, by no means, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's no way to cover it all, even in 50 videos. You'd have to have 1,000 hours to talk about this. And you would never reach the end of the discussion. I mean, if someone says, that's just conspiracy, you're talking conspiracy. Well, I'd be asking them, what reality are you speaking from then to suggest that there is no such thing as troubles in life? And, certainly in my life, there have been, on occasion, sadly more than a few times, unknowns that some have tried to identify to me privately as being members of the American government, of the Central Intelligence Agency. And it's by no means my own imagination or allegation that I just invented this on my own. It's what people have told me. And it could just be a wind-up. It could be the lady from California got it wrong who claimed to be my lost mommy, and that I'm locked up in some kind of permanent targeted contract with the CIA where they've got a grudge with this dead actress that is never going to end. And they hate her. They hate her. It's clear they hate her. And they really hate the fact that she told me anything, even if I can't corroborate what she told me. The fact that I could be her son, the fact there are surviving children of hers in California, and the fact that if I am her son, then I am the evidence. Just do a DNA test, and if it comes up positive, then there it is. And I think every day they fear this. If the story's true, then these forces out there are always looking to bury me and burn me and have me cremated into nothing and dump the ashes in the ocean and say, fuck him, he's gone. But then there's my kids I worry about, because then they too would pass a genetic test. I mean, are we all just going to be targeted for the rest of our lives? And they justify what they're doing. Can you imagine justifying an ongoing attack on an innocent person whose only crime is that they happen to be related to someone, and that they keep using the term, it's moral, it's for the greater good of all? I do have evidence of a lot of these conversations with those said individuals who claim to be CIA. Downloaded copy, hard disk, and everything, and what they claim had happened and who I allegedly am. And I don't have that evidence physically. I can't say that I am anybody's kid without hard evidence. It was one of the reasons I dropped it to begin with, is because I don't have this evidence. And this does tie into Beniko quite a bit, quite heavily. When she's saying to me, I want you to go with me, is she saying it in some, what does she mean by that? Well, it would be a forlorn conclusion that this entity, this girl can, this higher dimensional female, this person can, obviously she can see my life, who's interacting with it, and what goes on around it, more than I can, and is aware of possibly even the future events for me. And I think she knows full well the answers to those questions. Was that woman my mother, and who are these people, and is it really the CIA targeting me? And why would they target me? It's simple. I'm walking around the physical genetic evidence of something very large. The woman that came to me was a celebrity who had a lot of contracts with the Walt Disney Company, had made movies with Walt Disney, had made movies with other celebrities. She was well known, well loved, and she knew Walt Disney himself. And, the story is several stories here, and just briefly touching on this. And again, I'm not pushing. If I was pushing it out there, I would be dropping her name in the video. But in brief, the story was several stories that I got from her, and it's pick or take which one you want to, whichever. You don't have to believe them, or just believe which one makes sense to you. One is that her and her first husband, with trouble fell on her in her first marriage, where apparently she had fallen pregnant in her third pregnancy, and that some enemies in the mafia, because apparently he was CIA, and they retaliated, and decided that the best revenge would be to take a baby that she gave birth to, abduct the child, switch him at birth, drive him, fly him off to Texas, which is not somewhere in California down the street, but all the way out in Texas, where there was another family that had an inconvenient baby they had to get rid of that one. And if you don't know anything about the mafia, when they do a job, they do 2 or 3 things at one time. When something moves, it's this moves, that moves, this moves. Everything moves at the same time. And apparently, this first story is that baby was then held for ransom for his return. Second story, and within the conversations with her in the early 90s on the telephone, the woman from California claiming to be my real mom then tells me she says she's a Catholic, and I've got to tell you the truth, you know, that she had an affair with an actor. This actor had been the star of a lot of films, Jaws and a few other films. I mean, and this affair took place because her husband was this actor's manager. And that again, I become this story. Then it shifts to an inconvenient affair baby that someone had to get rid of. More likely, the second story applies. They had to get rid of that child, me. And then the story of there being a ransom falls apart at this point. There was no payoff or any kind of a ransom. It's just the people involved in the switching at birth didn't want to kill the baby, and you can't adopt him into another family, because if you do, you then have a paper trail leading back to this famous couple. So then she goes on and makes another baby. It's a boy, and he's born in 74, and 75, 74, and he grows up in the family. One of the reasons, tractor out there, one of the main reasons I was taken, I'm going to say it like, I'm not saying it like it's true, but I'm going to say it like I was told. One of the main reasons I was taken and switched at birth was also because the man she had the affair with was Caucasian, of German descent. And the actor had a German migrant family. He was Caucasian, and she was Italian. And so her and her first husband were both Italian. So the kids coming from them were very, very Italian looking. So they know the baby's going to be half-caste, and they know this is going to raise questions. And so this is not something that you want. Well, anyways, and the mother being like a mom, as the story goes, well, where's that baby? What happened to him? Etc., etc. You know, where is he? How did he turn out in life? Goes and finds him. Well, apparently this pissed off a lot of people who had hidden the child to begin with. Which then we end up with, you can look it up, the CIA do have what's called trend cases. Cases that go on for many, many years. They're covered up because agents and operatives made mistakes. And they have a policy of not correcting those illegal mistakes. They don't correct them. They don't fix them. They just spend a lot of your taxpayer money to keep covering them up. And they'll spend a lot of money doing this, and resources and time, when they could be out doing real jobs with actual terrorists and troubles in the world. Well, you know, and there it is. That's the story in a nutshell. The names aren't important. These people are dead, and none of these people are ever going to talk to me. Fantastic story. How do you corroborate that? Well, I don't think I need to corroborate it, nor do I ever have to corroborate it. All I've got to do is show you the evidence of all those strange communications with people claiming to be CIA. That's all I've got to do. And all I've got to do is show you this long paper trail of evidence of unusual and highly strange, more than coincidental attacks on my life, where I've literally been targeted for just completely reasons that just baffle me. Who is this? Who's my enemy? And these attacks are organized, and I can show you how multiple people were involved. I can show you with high detail all the evidence. I've got stacks of evidence of the kinds of attacks that went down, the things that were said, you know, and this is stuff they don't want me to have. But you know, you can't have it all. You can't do. I'm sorry, you can't have it all. You can't have a complete cover up of what you're doing to me out there. You can't have it all. You just, you know, you're not going to get away with that. You can get away with the cover up of, if she is my mom, that's my family, but you're not going to cover up. You're not going to get away with the second part of that, which is what you're doing to my life. You know, I made a video early this year that got a lot of hits, and I was wearing my uniform. I work in a company, and I'm wearing that uniform now. And I didn't realize, but in the video, my uniform was just right there on video, blasted right on YouTube. Within 1 week, I lost that job for reasons that I still don't understand why. The rumor has it the general manager was contacted by somebody. Now, he's gone too, funny enough. Not funny, but I mean, the weird thing is this company went through a massive overhaul of people. And the general manager himself ends up going out of the company in August. This is a man that worked his way up. He worked very hard to get where he was. And then mysteriously and abruptly, rumor had two sides of that rumor. He wanted to go, and the other side of the rumor was he was told, go, or we're going to... I can talk about that now. He's gone. I can say this, but I'm not dropping names, or even the company name, for legal reasons and for being professional publicly. And I got nothing against the man or the company. I liked him, and I like the company. I like these people. I was very fond. I'm very fond of them. You know, the lady that was left to run the parks. Very, very fond of her too. Lovely lady. She's a younger woman. She's a younger person than me, but I was very fond of her. Didn't communicate that with her. I tried to be professional. I think I'm terrible at hiding things. I think I'm terrible. Sometimes I try to be when I go to hide some feeling about someone. I'm robotic. Hello, I'm here to do what you say, and that's all I'm here to do. And I'm yes, ma'am. I step out the door and bite my tongue. You're cute, but I can't say that to you. But I was always very, very... I liked the general manager. I knew he was getting something wrong, bad advice. And because I've had this life of trouble with these other people in the U.S. government that are targeting me, I don't blame him or anybody in Ipswich that targeted me, the town up the road. I believe the woman that committed suicide, my neighbor, there was some loose evidence to suggest from her own dialogue with me before she died, a few years before she died, that neighbor that went to war with me up there, that she was being contacted by people from the state of Texas. And they were giving her grief and trouble, and she was already suffering from agoraphobia. She was mentally ill. She was on head medication. Her husband was a plumber for the council. But we used to talk, we used to get along, and at some point, at the time in my life, back in the day when I was married, I talked too much. And I talked to people back in America, and they were asking me, who are your friends over there? Who do you talk to? And I ended up saying that. Well, X, blah, 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 blah. Next thing I know, these people are falling out and went to complete war with me. And they can use people around you as weapons, even your family. I'm a high-profile target for the mafia and the CIA. Then you really got to be careful. You know, you really don't want to be. You got to be careful. And allies and friends are so hard to come by. And the video isn't going to be about that. It's going to be about Beniko's message to me in the electronic voice phenomena recording, EVP recording. And clearly, she says to me, I want you to come with me. I want you to go with me. Now, I know I've got my sons and my cats. And I'm in absolute love with Beniko. I love her, even if she's not human. And this fairy tale is very real, I'm afraid. Because this particular fairy sitting in the forest is telling me, I've been there your whole life and we're meeting again. All the way growing up in Texas, and this is where we were always going to end up meeting again. It was always going to end this way, she's telling me. I'm the one, I'm Beniko. And I identified her. I know it's her, I can feel it, I love her. And I'm thinking, and I'm just musing on this video. This whole video is about this right here, about this point. And on October 6th, when I'm live, Saturday night, I'll talk more, get into a lot more depth with you and answer your questions. But with troubles and issues that rise up in this life, I begin to think, if they get too much, and it gets too much for me, it gets too heavy for me, I'm beginning to think that if I end up like going to the streets, or end up homeless, or out of work, or completely destituted in desolation of Jason Moss, the desolation of Jason Moss becomes a reality, where I'm completely cut off and I'm completely alone, then the only thing that makes sense is that somehow or other, I don't know how she's going to do it. I could have two ways. I'm either going to end up getting killed, and if you want to be scientific, that's the more likely plausible outcome. I'm going to get killed. This video is going to say that to you. They're going to kill me. But then I'm going to go to Beniko and argue all you want what you think I am with mental health or whatever. Again, I've got the evidence of the targeting in my life, which is extensive, by the way. And I'm either going to get killed, or I'm going to end up somehow, she's going to raise my vibration frequency on her own. She's done it before. And I'm going to phase out of this reality and end up in her dimension. People have been known to disappear. It does happen. And they're never seen again. There have been bloodhounds that go in the forests in Scandinavia and the Norwegian forests and parts of England and Ireland, in the fields of, and they've seen like where the footprints of people go up to those so-called fairy mounds. The dog sniffs and they don't know where the person went. They're gone. That happened in Scotland. There are a lot of cases of this in Scotland. Believe what you want, but what are you prepared to believe in? For me, it's not a belief, it's what I know. I know that she's real. The challenge is on you after I'm gone, because sadly, as much as I hate to say it, it might end up being the outcome for me in the end. I might end up becoming a missing persons, and someone that ends up with her. It is not my intention to leave my sons or my cats. I love them very dearly. I want to be with them all their lives. That's my intention. That's why I work so hard to remain in England after my eviction from Ipswich, from losing the house I was in when I was married, and bust my butt, live in the circumstances I live in now so I can see my sons, and continue to do my research and talk to all of you. And I don't want to leave any of you either. I don't know you, but I love all of you. But I begin to muse on this, and I think, oh my God, that might be the outcome. She is going to get me in the end, two ways. But either way, she's standing there. Either way, this is how it could play out. Maybe this is the only way it will end for the lost kid.